All right, Les, thank you for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
We're talking about the network marketing business. We're talking about how it fits in the world of people's options. As we start, why don't you just tell people your story as to what you've done in your life, your background up until this point. I know it's a big story. There's a lot of stuff that you've done.
It's not much, but as it relates to multi-level marketing, it's been the most impactful choice I ever made in my life, and the reason is because it demands more of you than a job, and it brings out and requires a level of training and skill development and vision of yourself that allows you to navigate and control your own future. And when I think about what I've been able to accomplish up to this level, which is just minuscule compared to a lot of people, but being born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida, being adopted, being labeled educable, mentally retarded, and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failing again in the 8th grade, no college training. When I became involved in network marketing, this is during the day of Dare to Be Great, Glenn Turner, Best Line Products, Bill Bailey, Holiday Magic, that to go from an 8-hour-a-day job to from 9 to 5 to 5 until you faint, okay, it's a character building experience. And so when I had to learn how to present. A guy who sponsored me named Robert Boyd, who just passed, and I had to learn how to organize and achieve goals. I was listening to Dare to Be Great. I remember being fascinated by Glenn Turner and Jim Rowan, who worked for Best Line Products at that time with Bill Bailey. Bill Bailey, who I think is one of the greatest motivational speakers I've ever heard, along with Glenn Turner. And when I saw those guys, it just fascinated me because it expanded my vision of what was possible for myself. I remember when I first got in, I was so fired up that I came in at a top level and I purchased $2,600 worth of biodegradable soap. It weighed 2 tons, and I was so determined to move this product, I had to put it in my living room. It was a miracle that my house did not collapse, okay? But I sold it all. And from that first experience, my first month, I was able to get a bonus of going to Miami Beach and stay at the Fontainebleau Hotel that I used to clean, that I was a janitor there. I used to cut the grass there. I used to work with my mother to make up beds there at that hotel. This came about because of multi-level marketing. I remember earning enough money where I had breakfast in New York, I had lunch in New Orleans, and I had dinner in Los Angeles. And I did it just because I could. I mean, I just went bananas when I became involved because I earned more money during that than I ever earned working on a job. And I loved it. And it helped me to develop my voice, but most importantly, because of the self-development component, it helped me to develop a vision of myself beyond my circumstances and mental conditioning.
Well, and tell me, today people have options when it comes to being able to take care of their families.
Yes.
Pay their bills.
Yes.
They can get a job. They can get involved in sales. They could take blue-collar work. They could be a traditional small business owner. They could maybe be an investor. It appears to me that today is the era of the entrepreneur. What benefits do you see? I know you're an entrepreneurial person, and you coach and train and educate entrepreneurs all over the world. You're one of the highest paid speakers around the world, one of the most in-demand speakers around the world because you get results, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the difference between an entrepreneurial choice and the other choices available, and what's the benefits?
If you work on a job today, if you graduate, I don't care if you graduate from Harvard with an MBA or a PhD, 53% of the MBAs can't find a job. And those who do have to do 2 and 3 jobs for 1 paycheck. Today, if you're working on a job, you have to look over your shoulder to see whether or not you're going to be eliminated with the next app, with technology, or outsourcing. And so today, if you're going to control your future, the 40-40 plan is gone, where you can graduate from college and get a job and work for 40 hours a week for 40 years. That day is gone. This is a time, this is the era what the late Peter Drucker calls the era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. So you have to bet on yourself. Let's look at the billionaires. Look at Warren Buffett. He was asked a question during the middle of the recession: what's the most important investment you can make today? And he said, the most important investment you can make today is in yourself. Now, here's a guy that has billions of dollars in real estate, billions of dollars in the stock market. Now, why do you say that? The glue that holds the multi-level marketing organizations together is self-development. That's where I heard Dare to Be Great. That's where I heard you have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. That's where I heard Bill Bailey talking about the pursuit of greatness. That's where I heard Jim Rohn say, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not stop sliding down an old one. That's where I heard Zig Ziglar said, if you give enough people what they want, they will give you what you want. That's why I heard Earl Nightingale say that you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are, that all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. When I think about those voices that I was introduced to when I became involved in this industry, all of that helped me to begin to create a new chapter in my life, beyond a job, the journey of the broke. When you're working on a job and you go in there every day and you know what you are going to be doing, and you know when you have gone as far as you can go, and most of the things that stress you out, it has nothing to do with the job. It has to do with the culture or the politics. The many studies are showing right now that 86% of people who work on jobs don't like the job. There's a new term in the workplace called presenteeism, that people are present, but their mind is someplace else. Because of that, we have in this country, the greatest country in the world, I think there's something wrong that on Monday morning, the heart attack rate increases by 35%. On Monday morning, people getting ready to go to jobs that they hate. I think there's something wrong when we live in a country that's seen as a land of opportunity, and people try and outswim sharks to get here and outrun jeeps barefooted. And more people committed suicide last year than died in traffic accidents, according to the CDC. And I believe that when you're in alignment with your purpose, that is, that when you're in a position that challenges you to develop yourself, that challenges you to get a vision of yourself beyond your comfort zone, because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. In multi-level marketing, you've got to learn how to manage yourself. You've got to set goals. You've got to know how to manage people. You've got to be able to sell yourself. You've got to be able to sell something that you believe in. You've got to know what the marketplace is. You've got to be hungry. It's hard work and hard work. It's H-A-R-D and H-E-A-R-T. And because of that, it begins to bring something out of you that going on a job where you work just hard enough to keep them from firing you, and they pay you just enough to keep you from quitting. Come on! I've been there, done that, and bought that T-shirt. And so it's something that whose time has come, and it's in every day as we go further into the global economy. There's a new book called Average is Over, and it talks about that 85% of people will be working with mechanized intelligence. They'll be working with computers. 15%, these are the entrepreneurs, will have a capacity and talents and skills that complements the computer. See, who we are, you have an energy signature, and you have the ability to create something out of your character, out of your choices, out of the values that you have, that allows you, the spirit of the entrepreneur is to be a risk taker, and to be resourceful and unstoppable, and to have a vision of yourself beyond where you are and not willing to settle for life as it is. And I think the industry that we're in, that's what it allows you to do.
Outside of the personal development side and the fact that this profession will push you, it will ask you to become more than you are.
Yes.
In order to be able to earn more. What are the other benefits that you think network marketing provides?
To relationships. I remember spending the day with one of the icons, Dexter Yeager, and it really taught me a lot. We spent a whole day. He wanted me to give a speech in the Georgia Dome before 80,000 people called It's Not Over Till I Win. And all that day we spent talking, and we argued back and forth. I mean, anybody listening said, these guys are about to slug it out. And we ended that day very close friends, but here's what I'll never forget about what I learned from him, and that, to me, what the industry is about. When I got ready to leave, I went to reach for my luggage, and he got it. Now, Dexter Yeager, this time, is making $1 million every 17 hours. 50% of Amway's organization goes through his organization. When I got downstairs, the limousine was there, and Dexter put my luggage in the trunk. I said, I'll get it. He says, no, I got this. So I said, okay, Dexter, I'll see you. I went to hug him. He says, no, I'm going with you. And he got in the car, and he went with me to the airport. Now, I'd seen this before because I knew when I spoke for him or if I spoke for Amway, the culture was different. A couple that met you at the airport. If you touched the doorknob first, then they would get a demerit. He went in, and this is before security. He checked my plane ticket, and then I said, okay, Dexter, I'm reaching for my luggage again. He says, no, I'm going with you to the gate. And he walked me to the gate. And it proved something to me, that the greatest among you will be your servant. During this time, I had a talk show, people saying, hello, Les Ron, how you doing? And there walking beside me was a billionaire holding my luggage. He went to the gate with me, and he stood there, and we talked until it was time for me to leave. And I realized that, you know, he said the speed of the leader, the speed of the group. That everything that he was asking and demanding of the people in his organization, the culture that he had created, that he was modeling that himself. And I've seen that with other leaders of other groups as well. And so as we look at ourselves, this industry, what I learned is the value of service. You know, I know people in the business say, look, if you want to be successful, you need to know the color of the carpet in the living room of the people that you're working with. You need to know their anniversaries. You need to know the kids' names. Why? Because this is a relationship business. Multi-level marketing teaches you the value of relationship capital, that people will become involved in the business, not just for the business, but because of you. I learned that the value of presenting yourself and telling your story. Because when you're talking to someone one-on-one, small group or large group, and this is the way I train speakers today, what I learned, that people are asking 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? Because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so learning how to do that, learning how to tell my story, has allowed me. I remember when I had to speak for a major corporation, and one of the things that happened, I was listening to the presentation that went up before me, and I asked the guy next to me, I said, why do you take your medication? He said, because I want to live. Now, one of the things that I learned when you're going around doing presentations every week, you got to learn how to think on your feet. So I got up and I did a speech on how many of you want to live? Raise your hands. They did. When I finished the speech, the guy said, do you know how to train doctors? I said, yes. I have a clue. But being in multi-level marketing, I'm confident. I got a yes, I can attitude and a no, I can't aptitude, right? And so he gave me a contract, $640,000, the most money I had made at that time in 1 month, to train 3,500 doctors how to communicate with their patients to increase their taking of their hypertension medication. Now, what I learned in multi-level marketing was never let what you want to say get in the way of what your customer needs to hear. And so all I did was do some research and talk and interview doctors and use my presentation skills that I learned going from meeting to meeting, one-on-one, small groups, and large groups, to be able to make an impact. Because at the end of the day, what I learned more than anything else, how to present myself and how to be strategic and experiential. When I heard Bill Bailey speak, it moved me. It touched my heart. When I heard Jim Rohn speak, you know, your life can either be a warning or an example. A warning of what not to do, an example of what to do. That began to open my mind about me. How am I showing up? Because wherever you are in life, at some point in time, you made an appointment to be there. And at the time when I became involved in the industry, my life was a warning. You know, I wasn't living my dream. I was living my fears. I was living a life of mediocrity. But the other thing that's most important is the culture, being in an environment. Environment is more powerful than willpower. Being an environment of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. That's why it's so important now for people more than ever before, because we have an entertainment-driven culture. Multi-level marketing in foreign countries are 10 times, 100 times more explosive than it is in this country, because many of us are spoiled. We don't know how good we've got it. We live in the greatest country on the planet, and there are a lot of people sitting around complaining and being cynical. But trust me on this, when I go abroad, I enjoy myself, but when I'm coming back through customs, I'm singing, God bless America. Let me tell you something here. We don't have a clue. And so it allows you to see yourself differently. Once you change a person's vision of themselves, it changes how they show up in life. It changes the things that they're able to produce. And because of the relationships, practicing the principle of OQP, only quality people. Jim Rohn used to say, ask the question, what is the relationships doing to me? People don't ask that question. That was a key question, because MIT did a study, and the study indicated that we earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of our closest friends. And so this culture that we have been a part of, this industry, has allowed me to use the techniques, the strategies that I've learned from yourself, from so many people in the industry, that it gave me choices and options. When you're working on a job, it paralyzes you, because now you have to march to somebody else's drum. You have somebody else telling you what time to be there, what time you can get off. You have to go to them and ask, can I go on vacation? And some of them have the unmitigated gall to say to you up front, here's the number of sick days that you're going to have out of the year. Excuse me? What if the disease don't know it? Come on! And so, to me, when you're working on a job, and there's some people, they need to work on a job. And the reason is they just don't have what it takes to build a business, because most people are not willing to do it. This, as I said, is hard work and hard work, H-A-R-D and H-E-A-R-T. And if you're willing to do it, you discover a part of yourself that you don't know. Your presentation skills, your vision of yourself, the relationships that will challenge you, that will hold you accountable, that will bring out the greatness that you have within you. The challenge of facing rejection and developing the character and the courage, as Winston Churchill would say, to go from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. It really strengthened me and taught me how to live my life from the inside out. You know, Elsie Robinson said, things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that really count are the things that happen in you. And when I got outside of my warm market, after talking to family members and friends, and then I had to go out and talk to strangers, that was character building. And I remember how I felt initially when I was rejected. I made it personal. And then I started getting excited, because I had a friend of mine, Suzanne Damas, who was president of Motown Records, and I heard her give a speech, and she said, make no your vitamin. And I said, whoa. She said, every time you get a no, become empowered, because that means that you're a step closer to a yes. And so that stayed with me, and the things that I've heard, that you're in business for yourself but not by yourself. The speed of the leader, the speed of the group. You take care of the few, the masses will follow. So all of those things that I learned over the years, being a part of the industry, has blessed me in a very special way. And I'm humbled when I think about, had it not been for that, I would have not have been able to touch millions of people's lives around the world doing what I'm doing now, because that was the furnace that I came through. Fire. I came through. It got on the other side and discovered a part of myself that I would not have known otherwise.
The profession, from the way you describe it, sounds amazing.
It
right?
is amazing.
Yes, you have this opportunity to earn income, flexible time. You can earn while you learn. There's lots of support involved. The company does the heavy lifting. You just have to plug in. They do the big investment. You do the small investment. All of those different things, the personal development, the community, the training, the culture, all of that. Why do you think, from your perspective, you travel all over the world, you talk to millions of people, why do you think network marketing is so misunderstood?
I don't think that it's misunderstood. I think that people have made some assumptions about it who don't know it, or people who've gotten in and they weren't able to become successful right away, because we live in a world where people stand in front of a microwave and pat their feet. They want it right now. And they have a Polaroid mentality. This industry, it requires patience, that you've got to be willing to put in 2 to 3 years before you look around to see whether or not you are producing any results. It requires persistence. Og Mandino had a great affirmation. He said, I will persist until I succeed. That's what I embrace. It requires practice. It's a new way of being. It's a new way of how you see your life and how you show up and managing yourself. And so there's no industry that's perfect, but I don't think it's an industry that people really understand unless they become involved in it. But it's a difference between being in the industry and the industry being in you. There's a difference. Because when you do that, then you're seeing it from a different perspective. I know people who are in it, like me, that was for the relationships, even when I wasn't earning money, because of the relationship and because of the possibility that I had a shot. I had a shot on a job. I knew that I didn't even have a possibility of having a shot of becoming financially independent. So the skill set that I developed as an entrepreneur, and that's what multi-level marketing does. Network marketing brings out the entrepreneur in you. And this is the era of where we are. Ralph Waldo Emerson calls it the age of self-reliance. It brings that out of you. And I think that it's easy to take pop shots at it, but remember, dogs don't bark at parked cars. You know, people shoot up, they don't shoot down. So I just think there are a lot of haters out there who really don't understand the industry and say, oh, it's a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a pyramid. Now, first of all, everything in our lives is a pyramid. Everything, from the White House on down to the Congress, to the Senate. I used to serve in the Ohio legislature. It's a structure that provides coaching and that has revealed years ago there's no secret to success. There's a system to success. And no matter what organization you become a part of, the system works if you work it. If you don't work it, it won't work. But it works if you work it. And that's one 4-letter word that most people don't like. They're not willing to work. I have a friend who invited me to her brother's house to help him to get off drugs, to introduce him to a drug program that can help him. And I said, these people can help you, but you've got to be willing to do the work. And after we finished, he asked us to leave. And I'll never forget what she said. As we were going down the steps, she said, Les, I do apologize for wasting your time, but I realized when my brother knew that it would require work for him to get off drugs, that most people won't participate in their own rescue. And there are people who will be presented with an opportunity, who know that they could be laid off at any moment, who know that there's no such thing as job security, who know that them keeping their job has nothing to do with how good they are. And yet and still, they'll go to work and have knots in their stomachs, hoping when they open up an email that they have not been told this is your last day. They'll go to work hoping there's not a security guard standing by their desk with a box and say, empty your things in here and take them to the front door and escort them to the parking lot. They go in there hoping it doesn't happen. Why? Because they don't want to do the work. It's an aversion to most people's spirit.
Do you think that the network marketing profession, the distributors involved in network marketing, have a little bit to do with that? Have a little bit to do with maybe not painting the fact that there's work, maybe putting out the you're going to make money super fast, the rah.
Every
do you think we have some work to do to
think that
tighten that up?
Every profession, you're going to have people who exaggerate. And so I think those are the things that happen that gives us a bad rap. People should say up front, hey, look here, this takes work. It's not going to happen overnight. In the beginning, you're going to do a lot of things that you don't get paid for. But as you go down the road, you get paid for a lot of things that you don't do. So you've got to be patient. You've got to be persistent. You've got to be willing to practice this new way of how you are reinventing yourself and developing the skill set so that you can create this brand new life. And the road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, because few there be that are willing to be patient, few there be that are willing to be persistent, few there be that are willing to practice and to learn how to lay out a strong foundation before they look for the rewards. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's something that if you hang in there and stay with it, you can get some incredible rewards from it. I tell you, it's, to me, the relationships that I developed, but the person that I became, I can't put a price tag on that because I can write my own ticket. You can blindfold me and drop me anywhere on the planet, and I'm going to be able to carve out a place for myself because of what I've learned from this industry.
So one of your best friends or one of your children comes to you and says, I'm thinking about getting involved in a network marketing company. You've been around the profession for a long time.
Yes.
What do you tell them, and what advice do you give to them?
Model the leaders. I tell them, first of all, yes, 4 of my kids are involved in it. And I was so excited because of the fact there are things that you can say to my kids that they can't hear from me. And there are things that I can say to yours they can't hear from you. Sometimes they have to hear it from someone else. As we say in multi-level marketing, an expert is the guy who comes from out of town with an attaché case. So I would tell them to model the people that are most successful. Look at them, follow them, and follow the system. But the other thing is that you've got to be willing to face a lot of no's and rejections and be empowered in that and learn everything that you can about the product. Make sure it's something that you believe in, and learn everything you can about the industry and work that system and talk to people. The name of the game is TTP, talk to people. And if that doesn't work, TTMP, talk to more people. And that formula would lead you to success. That's how I became successful, because a lot of people are going to tell you no. They know they're sorry and trifling and not going to build the business. Don't try and convince someone to do this. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. To me, this industry is not for people who need more money. This industry is for people who want more money and who are hungry. One of the things that I believe in is that when I was doing it, I would always say, do you know anyone who want to earn an extra $3,000 or $4,000 a month? Please let me know, and I'll keep walking. If that person turns around and says, hey, I'm interested, then I'll keep on walking until they stop me. I want to give that person a conversation. But if they don't say anything to me, I'll keep walking because I know it's not them. And so maybe out of 100, maybe 5 will say, excuse me, I'm interested. Are you serious? Then I'll give that a conversation. But that was my recruitment style. I'll just touch them and say, hey, if you know anybody that want to make an extra $3,000 or $5,000 a month, please let me know. And just walk away. That's all. Because I'm not interested in having a conversation if that's not you. I'm looking for the one.
I love that. I love that. What else you got? You got anything, Joe? I'm trying to think about, what do you think, Maria? Anything you can think of that we need to add in here? I think we got pretty much all the bases.